What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the TCG Empire YouTube channel. Today we're taking a look at another Paradox Rift deck. This is going to be Turbo Roaring Moon EX. So with the release of Paradox Rift, as I mentioned on the last video, we got a ton of new decks. And so today we're going to be taking a look at the list that placed third place at the very first Paradox Rift legal tournament. This was a in-person tournament that was held through Limitless. And the person that ran this list, I don't have their name, but they did go 7-1-2, placing third. So we're going to be taking a look at that list. If you guys don't know, Roaring Moon EX, it is a brand new Pokemon from Paradox Rift. Has 230 HP. And for 2 dark and a colorless, you have Frenzied Gouging. You knock out your opponent's active. And if you do knock out your opponent's active, you do 200 damage to yourself. Now, most of the time, this is an attack that you use if you can't hit the numbers that Calamity Storm can. So Calamity Storm, you do 100 damage, and then you can discard a stadium in play. If you do, you deal 120 more damage. So you're dealing 220 damage for 3 energy, and if you can't hit that number, then you have the ability to just have an instant knockout. This is really good if you're going against things like VMAXs. If you go against Mew, even though you hit weakness, if for some reason, you have to use Frenzied Gouging, can put yourself in a spot to where Frenzied Gouging can just take 2 instant knockouts and win you the game. It's a very good attack, but it's very situation based because you do deal 200 damage to yourselves. Against decks like Iron Valiant, you never really want to use this because they can pick off and then damage something new. And because you deal 200 damage to yourself, if you do have more than 30 damage on you, you will KO yourself in the process. So that is the main attacker of the deck. With that, we are also playing Morpeko. This has the In a Hungry Hurry ability. If there's no energy attached, it has no retreat cost. And then for 2 energy, it does 70 damage. You move 2 dark from this Pokemon to one of your bench Pokemon. So if you have to attack with it, it is a good 1-prizer. And you move energy off of it, which turns its ability on. Otherwise, it's a good free pivot. We are also playing Mew. Now, there is no way to actually fully accelerate to Mew, but we will get into that. And we are also playing Radiant Greninja for some draw with concealed cards, and Luminion to search. Now, the only supporters that we're playing are 4 Professor Sada's Vitality and 1 Boss's Orders. And the reason why is because Professor Sada's Vitality is pretty much what makes this deck work. You choose up to 2 of your ancient Pokemon, and you attach a basic energy from your discard pile to each of them, and then you draw 3 cards. So this means that you can attach 2 energy to 2 of your Roaring Moons, draw 3 cards, and then with cards like Dark Patch, as well as things like Energy Switch, you can actually build up in a single turn a big threat. Now, the reason why I said that we're running Mew is because you can also do the same thing with Greninja, is because you do have access to Energy Switch. So if you attach to Mew, you can attach to Mew, use a Sada, and then use Energy Switch on the 2 energy you just Sada'd, or energy that you use Dark Patch with, so you can set up a Mew in a single turn, but you can also set up a Greninja in a single turn because we are playing 2 water energy. So the combination of being able to attach a water for turn, Sada, a dark and a water, and then double Energy Switch is huge. Or, if you need to take 2 turns to build a Greninja, you can set it up in 2 turns by just using a single Energy Switch. But overall, it's super huge. We have 4 Earthen Vessel. This deck is pretty much just pure turbo, just so that way you can build up as much of a threat as possible, as early in the game as possible, and deal as much damage as possible. It's similar to Miraidon in the sense that you just open yourself up to so many possibilities. So, as always, the deck list will be posted right here, so you guys have a full clean view of it. And in the description will also be the copied and pasted list, so that you guys can put it into Pokemon Trading Card Game Live and play the deck for yourselves. As always, I want to thank you guys for all of the love and support. I think in the past month, we've pushed almost 28,000 views on the channel. You guys have been honestly killing it. And we have also, surpassed 750 subscribers. So we're on the way to 800, trying to hit the 1,000 goal by the end of December. So if you guys are new here, you know what to do. I need you to smash the like button, subscribe, turn on post notifications, and let me know down in the comments some of the decks that you guys are most excited for to try with the new set being legal. So as always, thank you guys for everything. Enjoy the gameplay, and I'll catch you in tomorrow's video. Later. Alrighty. Time for some Turbo Iron Moon, or Roaring Moon. You know, the iron and the iron and the roaring, like, it messes with my head. I keep thinking of Iron Jugulus, which is the Hydreigon, and then Roaring Moon, so I get confused. But we're okay. Let's see, looking at this start, it's definitely not, like, good, but it's definitely not bad. If we can top deck something like an Ultra Ball, we might be okay. Now, my opponent is actually playing Iron Valiant, so we might get donked here. Let's see if we do. Really hope we don't. They would need to get all 4 Valiants in play. It's not the end of the world. If I top deck an Ultra Ball here, I'm in a really good spot. If I don't, I'm in an awkward spot, but it's not like the end of the world. So there's an escape rope into the Squawk. There's a switch card, so 20 going on us. There's the 20. There's the Potown Store. Squawk and Seize. Oh, this is going to be risky. At least with Potown Store, we can get a look through our deck. There's the Town Store. My opponent finding 4 Sealstone. So if my opponent finds VIP and like 2 more ways to retreat, we lose. There's the Attach. There's the 4 Sealstone. Let's see how this goes. Alright, so just a pass. So we actually might be able to take out this Iron Valiant, and we top deck the Ultra Ball too, which is huge. So let's see. If I grab double Roaring Moon, I'm in a good spot. So yeah, I'm fine with that. So we'll discard the double Dark, and then we can grab the Roaring Moon. Let's take a look at what's in the deck. Not too much. So we're good with that. So we have the double Moon. I don't think there's anything to Town Store for, but just to double check. Nope. Alright, so now we can use Sada, and if we get an energy, we'll be able to attack. So we don't get an energy, but we do get double VIP, which is huge, and then we also have Ultra Ball. So we'll go VIP. VIP can grab us the Radiant Greninja and the Squawkabilly. And then we can go Energy Switch, move to this Roaring Moon. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I need to Ultra Ball for or VIP for. I think what we'll do, let's see. I don't want my opponent to be able to take too many prizes next turn. So I think we're just going to fail this, and then we'll use Squawk and Seize. And as long as we hit an energy, we can attack. So we have the energy, and we can also use Calamity Storm, where we don't have to damage ourselves, which is perfect. So we'll attach the Dark Trekking Shoes. We'll grab Dark Patch. We'll use the Greninja for concealed cards. So now we have Cross Switcher 2, which means that we can KO this Urshi, which is huge. So let's see. We'll go Dark Patch on the Roaring Moon. And then you may discard a Stadium in play. If you do, you do 120 more. Okay. We'll use Cross Switcher. Bring up the Urshi. I could have actually used the Switch card, but that's not the end of the world. And then what we'll do is just use Calamity Storm. We'll discard the Stadium, do 220. And my opponent doesn't have access to their V-Star anymore, which is good, unless they find another stadium. And we got the Vessel, which is huge. We have a Sada in hand, so things are looking pretty good with how we need it. There's another Urshifu coming down. There's another store. There's the Forest Seal Stone. Now we'll see what my opponent wants to play. So there's a switch. So my opponent can go 20 on the Morpeko. They can potentially pull off a 120, or not 120, a Yoga Loop, which might be a little bit annoying, but otherwise we should be okay. There's 20 on the Morpeko. There's the Urshi. And if they pull off a Yoga Loop, it's like, it's not the end of the world, but it definitely is more awkward than anything. But at least we do have the switch cart, so we are able to get some momentum going with possibly being able to heal a Roaring Moon. I don't hate that. So we have the Vessel, which means we can search some energy out. We can discard. Then we also have Sada. So there's the switch cart into the other Iron Valiant. So there's 20 on the Morpeko there. There's the Metachamp. So my opponent is going to be able to Yoga Loop, which it's unfortunate, but it's not the end of the world by any means. They need an energy as well as a Melanie to be able to set up an Urshifu here. So we're in a good spot. And they can't Yoga Loop again either, so it's not like we're gonna, you know, hard lose. There's the Ultra Ball. There's the Urshi. Then there's the switch. So we'll see what my opponent switches into. They go into the Valiant, and they use Tachyon bits to put 20 somewhere, so they put 20 on the Roaring Moon here. There's a research, so a fresh research, so we don't have to worry about the Urshi just yet. There's the other Iron Valiant. I don't think my opponent's going to be able to take 5 prizes. So we should be okay. My opponent just switches into the Valiant, which is fine. There's a switch cart into the other Valiant. We're putting 20. There's trekking shoes. There's escape rope getting discarded. So, I mean, as long as we can take a knockout, my opponent shouldn't be able to take a bunch of prizes. So, they just decide to go into the Urshi and pass, which is fine. With the Urshi, they're probably expecting us to go for a kind of big play as far as, you know, doing what we can to try and KO this, but I'm actually going to try and go around it and try and KO this Metacham if I can. We'll take a look at what's in the deck. So we do have 2 cross switcher left, which is good. So we can go Radiant Greninja. With Radiant Greninja, we can get rid of the Dark. Draw a couple cards. So we get Sada. So we could retreat. We have Energy Switch as well, which means that we can heal the damage off the Roaring Moon. At least we can heal 30. So we'll do that. We'll go here. We'll go Sada. Then we'll go 1 and 1. Draw us 3. So we have a 1 cross switcher piece, which is good. So we can go Trekking Shoes. Escape Rope is just as good as the cross switcher play. So that's good. And then let's see. We'll go Switch Cart, heal 30, bring up Roaring Moon. And then we can go, I don't really think that there's too much we have to do. We can go escape rope. This Roaring Moon isn't going to get KO'd in any way. So there's the Squawk coming up, which is fine. So there's the Roaring Moon. So now what we can do, attach the water to this Roaring Moon. And then I think next turn it's just going to be mainly trying to dig for the second cross switcher piece. So I don't think that we're going to do too much. I mean, I could use the Pokestop now, which is fine. So, okay, my opponent concedes, so they probably saw that the line of play wasn't really going to work out for them. All we needed was the one more cross switcher piece, and then we had the game in the next turn if they promoted the Urshifu. But, you know, even if they ended up promoting the Urshifu, I'm pretty sure we could just take the prizes off of it, and there was no way my opponent could really win. So that was a really, you know, good game and showcasing what Roaring Moon wants to do. So let's hop into a second game, see if we can do the same exact thing. Alrighty, into the second game with Roaring Moon. Hopefully we are able to set up kind of how we did last game. We had a very aggro start, got a turn 1 knockout. All because of a top deck of an Ultra Ball. So if we can open a good hand, we'll be okay. So my opponent chooses to go first. I saw in the preloading screen that they do have the, you know, lightning type sleeves. So they might be playing something like Miraidon. And if that's the case, you know, that's okay. So we do get a mulligan here, and they are indeed playing it. And looking at our start, we actually have a pretty good start. We have access to Pokestop, we have Switch, Switch Cart, Battle, VIP Pass, Sada for next turn. So, you know, everything that we need to do is working how we expect it to. And depending on what my opponent does, if they go double Flaffy, or I'm sorry, double Mareep, we can actually potentially set up a knockout with something like our Pokemon like Greninja. So first thing we'll do is Trekking Shoes. We'll take the double Vip. Double Vip is actually really good here. So we'll get the Radiant Greninja and the other Moon. And then we'll go Vip again. We'll grab the Squawk. And I'm thinking we'll grab the second Morpeko, just because if my opponent plays something like Escape Rope, then we still have a 1 prize that we're giving up instead of 2, which is huge. Now Squawk looks like super good here. Yeah, I'm fine with that. So the first thing we'll do is use the Greninja. So we'll go Concealed Cards. Draw us 2. So now we have some energy to discard, which works perfectly, which means that we have something to work with for Sada next turn. And, you know, I kind of don't hate where this is going. So we'll grab 2 dark here. We can get 1 dark attached to 1 moon, and then we have access to Ultra Ball if we need it. So we'll go Pokestop, and then we'll go Squawk. And then there's not too much that we fully have to dig for. It's just going to be more so, you know, getting everything set up. I don't need the Vessel right now. So we get Dark Patch, which is good. So it means that we can Dark Patch. And we'll put 1 on 1 moon. And then from here, we'll just go Pokestop. And we get triple energy switch, which is insane. So right here, we can just end our turn. So even if I attach the, you know, dark energy to this Roaring Moon, we would have been able to set up. So the fact that we hit 3 energy switch, though, is insane. I'm taking statistics right now, and off the top of my head, I know that hitting 3 energy switch off of a Pokestop, very low odds. So there's an Arven. So my opponent's probably going to go for... I doubt he's playing Cross Switcher, so they're probably just going to go for the setup turn and force us to, you know, potentially have to use Calamity, or I'm sorry, Frenzied Gouging, which if we do is fine. It gets awkward if they play Zapdos or, you know, the fact that they play Iron Hands, but if they don't establish an Iron Hands early on, we should be okay. And if they decide not to attach a Charm to the Raikou, we'll be good. We do play the one of escape rope, and we still have that, so we should be okay. So there's the Mareep coming down. There's the tandem unit. Let's see what my opponent gets now. If they don't establish the Iron Hands, I'm okay with taking a knockout here. So there's fleet-footed. There's the Hisuian Heavy Ball. They're grabbing another Mareep, so we could potentially go Greninja next turn, depending on what our top deck is. We do have the one water in the discard, so okay, so there's double Flaffy going down. There's the generator. Let's see. There's another generator, so I think next turn I have to hope that I can go for the Greninja play. The awkward thing is that I had to get rid of my Lumineon, which means I don't have an out to, you know, fully setting up how I want to. Because I do have a water in the discard, so I need to hope that I can find a way to get a Sada. And if I can, then, you know, we're in a good spot. If I can't, it's not the end of the world. You know, my opponent can still do what they need to do, but... Okay, so there's just a Lightning Rondo, which is actually perfectly fine with me because now I can actually use Calamity Storm to KO the Raikou, which is good. So, our top deck is Mew. I'm trying to think if Mew's going to be useful. I don't really think it fully is. So, we're just going to go here and... we'll get rid of the Dark. And we actually get the Sada, which means now we can actually KO the Mareep, which is perfect. So, what I'm thinking we do... Mew could be useful. But considering I'm going to use the energy switches on Greninja, I think that's going to be kind of more important as to where things go. I also do have Escape Rope, which is good. So, we'll just go Sada. And then we'll go Water and a Dark. Draw ourselves 3. So we get another Dark to work with, which is perfect. We do have access to Pokestop 2. And we hit Ultra Ball, and we get rid of a Dark, which is fine. So now what we'll do is go Water. Then we'll go Energy Switch. And then we can go Energy Switch. And now, I don't think that there's anything else we really need to do. I think what we're going to do here is just Shuriken. Because now this also makes it to where my opponent can't really set up an Iron Hands in one turn unless they hit something along the lines of double Generator. Because Iron Hands does take 4, so we're in a good spot. And if my opponent goes here and goes to 4, we can just use Escape Rope and Roaring Moon to take a knockout, so... My opponent getting rid of Path to the Peak. They do hit off of Pokestop, which is fine. Considering how big our hand is, like, Judge or Iono could be a little bit annoying, but considering the fact of, well, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We still have 3 Dark Energy to work with, too. Like, we're in a good spot. And my opponent has all 2 Prizers on board, so... Okay, so my opponent does play Zapdos, so that is something that we are going to have to fully deal with. Thankfully, with Calamity Storm, we hit perfect math to KO a lot of these Pokemon if they don't have a Charm on them, which means that we don't have to damage ourselves, so Zapdos can't actually take 4 prizes in a single turn. So, I'm not too stressed out about that. If I hit another cross switcher piece, I'm in a good spot. So, there's Iono. Iono's a bit, you know, annoying, but it's not the end of the world by any means. And especially considering we got Dark Patch as well as the, you know, ability to take a knockout. So, my opponent's at 4. So there's no way that they can really do too much next turn, so I'm not too worried about really anything now at this point. So what I'm thinking we do We'll go Dark Patch onto the moon, and then we can go Sada with a water here and a dark here. I could have done it the other way, which probably would have been a lot better for me, but it's all good. So we have the dark on this Roaring Moon. Use Pokestop just to thin a little bit more. So we get rid of a Roaring Moon. Trekking Shoes gets us Dark Patch. We'll hold on to that. And now we can just retreat, go into the Roaring Moon. And we can use Calamity Storm for 220, and providing that my opponent doesn't get rid of our hand, we have game next turn. Otherwise, if they do, it's going to be a little bit awkward. Well, actually, no. Because even if they take a knockout on this Roaring Moon, we still have this one to take a knockout. And there's no way my opponent's going to be able to take 4 prizes this turn. So, unless they do something like... No, not even a Lucha play would work. So, we were able to win that game with the sheer aggression. You know, this deck is kind of based on if you attack first and your opponent has you go second. It's a lot like Miraidon, where if you take a knockout first, you'll usually win. So, yeah, I've really enjoyed this deck. I think it's just pure aggression. You have some high roll hands most of the time. Other times, you know, you have some low roll hands. So, if you guys did enjoy today's video, do me a favor, smash the like button, subscribe, turn on post notifications. And with that being said, I will catch you guys in tomorrow's video. Later.